Peralta. The Orioles visit the Blue Jays. The Nationals at home against the Phillies. Zach Wheeler faces Mackenzie Gore. The Red Sox open up at Texas. Paul Skeens gets the ball for the Pirates at Miami against Sandy Alcantara. The Giants open up with Logan Webb facing Hunter Green at Cincinnati. The White Sox are home against the Angels. The Guardians visit the Royals. Tanner Bibby faces Cole Reagans. The Mets send Clay Holmes to the mound against the Astros and Framber Valdez in Houston. Chris Sale starts for the Braves at San Diego. Michael King starts for the Padres. The Cardinals open up at home against the Twins. Sonny Gray faces Pablo Lopez. Blake Snell starts for the Dodgers at home against the Tigers and Tariq Skubal. Justin Steele starts for the Cubs at Arizona, where Zach Gallen gets the ball. The A's open up at Seattle. Logan Gilbert starts for the Mariners. Luis Severino gets the nod for the A's. Bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive.
That's the Sports Grid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
Coverage varies by plan. View contracts and exclusions at EnduranceWarranty.com. Auto repair bills are through the roof. $3,000 to replace the transmission. $4,000 for a blown engine. And if your manufacturer's warranty is expired, you'll have to cover it all out of pocket. You need an Endurance Auto Protection Plan. No matter what the mileage, if your car is under 20 years old, Endurance can get you covered on the engine, electrical system, transmission, AC, drivetrain, and more. Endurance has plans for any budget. Repairs can be done at the certified mechanic of your choice, and they're paid directly with no middleman. Plans cover 24/7 roadside assistance, towing, battery jumps, fuel deliveries, tire changes, lockout services, and a 30-day money-back guarantee. Act now and get our elite benefits, including complete tire care and key fob replacement. A $2,000 value at no extra cost. With Endurance, you could never pay for covered auto repairs again, so call now for your free quote. Call 800-380-9012. 800-380-9012. Again, that's 800-380-9012.
You've heard of smart bombs, smartphones, smart cars, smart watches, and smart glasses. Now you can add smart player, giving you sports gaming strategies and information 24/7. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
The only place in football where the offense is always on the field is on Moneyline. With the two best hosts in radio, Donnie Rightside.
If anybody wasn't watching, let's not know what you were doing.
And Kevin Walsh.
Forget act like you've been there before.
On the SportsGrid Radio Network, Sirius XM Channel 159.
Best hour of your day is now officially underway. It's what we do. It's the SportsGrid Network. It's Moneyline. It's Donnie Rightside. It's a solo mission and a lot of hot topics to get to, which I'm excited for, which includes the NFL is where we are going to start right now. And the reason we're doing that is I'm bringing up the season win totals for all the NFL teams this year. And you might be saying, like, Donnie, why would you be doing that right now? And as I scroll through, just looking for one team in particular, which has been on the board and off the board all morning and is now still back on the board. That's the New York Giants. Let me take you through the timeline of why we're going to talk about the Giants today, which a lot of it does focus and center on Russell Wilson now being signed to the Giants, along with starting quarterback / Jameis Winston backup and Tommy DeVito. So 3 quarterbacks on the roster. I'm going to really get into that in just a moment. But here's where I like it, where I work a morning show. Sometimes it works to my advantage. I've been paying attention to, and you guys know me, I'm not a huge futures guy. I don't bet all that many futures because I am more of a day-to-day handicapper. Get me in season when everything is ready. Week number 1, all right. Then you can look at to see who's going to win the championship. Or NCAA college basketball. I'm not taking a future in December, January, or February. I'm going to wait till Selection Sunday, see the brackets, and then get down to business on a couple of wagers. But this morning, as we were live on the air, both myself, Mark Zeno today, on the early line, taking a look at a tweet that was sent out by Jordan Renan. He is a beat writer for, I believe, ESPN, who covers the Giants. And his tweet this morning was, hey, ESPN bet here, even after the Russell Wilson acquisition, still sits at 3.5 as a team total. I read that tweet, and I thought it was a mistake because I don't look at team totals this early in the season, don't really care for them because they're usually all lined up in somewhere of a general area of what you think the team's going to be. The Eagles, 11.5 wins. That means they're 12-6 on the season. It makes some sense. See where I'm going with this? And there are some opportunities for you to make money if that's the market that you really like to get down on. But for me, I said, you know what? I like taking advantage of bad lines. And if anybody was following yesterday's the segue, it was the move to Russell Wilson, who is now going to be what we think the starting quarterback for the New York Giants. Had a lot of fun on Twitter/X last night, back and forth. This is what I love. It keeps me young. It's fun. But the most part for me is I like to bang on bad organizations. As I said again, we'll get back to in just a moment. But the evolution of a line that you take a look at between sports books. FanDuel doesn't have the lines up here. I don't think DraftKings does either, or Bet365 for the team totals for football teams. I didn't check all the way down. But the one thing I do know is that tweet by Jordan Renan shifted my focus. I immediately went to the ESPN site, deposited $130, and placed a $100 wager on the New York Giants team total over 3.5 games. Last year, the Giants team total was 6.5 to open the season. That was just Drew Lock and Daniel Jones. Again, 6.5. 7 wins is a bad football team in the NFL. The Giants made some moves in the offseason, which, again, I don't think helps their future. But as I preface this many times that we'll get into, you have a general manager who's a complete buffoon. A coach who I thought was going to be one of the better coaches in the NFL when he came to the Giants is also a complete buffoon. But those two guys are allowed to run the ship for the Giants in self-preservation mode, which means they want to win games at all costs, even if it's not in the best interest of the franchise itself. Case in point, late last season, Indianapolis comes to town. The Giants end up beating Indianapolis instead of tanking that game and the final game against the Philadelphia Eagles and getting the number 1 pick, and you have your pick of any quarterback, any player you want in the draft. That's the foundation of a team that you want. Instead, they won that game. Now it looks like they might not get their quarterback, but also at the same time, making defensive signings here, making quarterbacks like Russell Wilson, who at least has a pulse, and Jameis Winston to say, you know what? They're going to be a bad football team. And if they don't draft a quarterback, they're not really going to have a future. But it's clear the goal right now for the Giants organization is not to win a championship or a division. It's just win enough games to save our job because our owner, who also is a buffoon in Mara, can't see the actual writing on the wall from what you're supposed to do. So as I said to myself, I like money more than anything else. I said yesterday, before the moves were made, the New York Giants would probably win at least 6 games next year, which is their worst case scenario. You blow up another draft pick because you're not going to be able to draft high enough to get your player that you want, which should be a quarterback, just like you did this year. The ESPN Sportsbook and that tweet from Jordan Renan at 3.5, I thought, again, it was a joke. I immediately went to that site, as I said, deposited money, bet it, and just like I always do for the people out there, I put it out immediately to let the people know exactly what I'm on. Because when I have tickets in here that make sense, I want the people to cash in tickets with me. And what a whirlwind it was. That ticket for me was over 3.5 wins. Mind you, the Giants won 3 games this year when they were actively tanking the entire season with no talent. Now at least they have the semblance of some talent and a quarterback that might be able to at least take snaps and run an offense, not over efficiently, not overwhelmingly good, but just enough to win a few football games here and there. The minute I took it, that number started ripping right away. And ESPN actually took that bet down multiple times this morning and reset the markets. I got over 3.5 wins for the Giants at a minus 130 price, which now sits Giants over 4.5 at a minus 140 price. That line changed in those shifts at least 6 to 7 times with juice and changing the number itself. So every once in a while in the marketplace, you can find wagers that make some sense, even if you know, because I even got the one tweet today from a follower. It's like, man, you know what? That's a great bet, but that's a long time to tie up money. He's right. We're sitting in March right now. April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January, and possibly February to get that money back. You probably get paid at the end of the regular season on that. If not, they cut you loose if they get that earlier. But I was willing to lay down $130 in March for a bet that might not even come to fruition next year because of how good that bet was. We talked about yesterday on the show, right? Talking about the number 1 overall pick being Cam Ward at a minus 700 price. Would you bet $700 a month later to get a guaranteed $100? I didn't do it. I probably should be doing that because he will be the number 1 overall pick. But for me to pass up a Giants, like talk about like, I don't really do my own lines, right? Hey, I got this number at 3.5 and it's 8.5, right? I don't do that. I don't have a model that, extenuates the circumstances there. But when I see a number that is so far lower than what my expectation was, because sometimes you get caught up like, ooh, I thought that spread would be around 2 touchdowns. It's only 8.5. Why is that? The Giants, with or without Russell Wilson, with or without Jameis Winston, and probably starting Tommy DeVito next year, even with a coaching staff that's incompetent, but only out for themselves and not for the best interest of the franchise, along with the general manager, they're going to spend money. They're going to make moves. They're going to try to win at all costs to sell John Mara on the case of, hey, we won 3 last year. We just won 6 this year. We're on the come up. And that idiot owner will buy right into it and bring those 2 buffoons back, which is going to happen. That's what I'm betting next year. What showed me a lot was they were too stupid to understand the situation this year, which was about not winning any games in December and getting the number 1 overall pick, getting your quarterback, and setting yourself up for the future, like the Washington squad does, the Commanders. They have Jaden Daniels. Dak Prescott for the Dallas Cowboys. Say what you want. He's a good quarterback. Will make the Pro Bowl next year. Jalen Hurts, a Super Bowl winning quarterback and MVP. The Giants don't have any of that. It seems like they're kicking the can down the road. I'm going to take advantage of that, people. No doubt about it. It's your boy, Donnie Rightside. It's a solo mission. It's Wednesday. We'll be back. More sports talk on the way.
We give you expert analysis and information 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Any easier and the government would ban us. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
With the SportsGrid News Flash, I'm Trey Westerberg. A New York student is suing after high school officials painted over a parking spot that she had decorated with a watermelon slice, a symbol of support for Palestinians. The lawsuit was filed this month in Brooklyn federal court and argues that the Half Hollow Hills Central School District violated the students' free speech rights. The school district says the artwork was painted over in order to maintain neutrality on controversial political matters. A drag show scheduled for this week at Texas A&M University can go on as scheduled despite a Board of Regents ban on such performances, according to a federal judge. The ruling from Houston-based U.S. District Judge Lee Rosenthal blocked a university ban on drag performances on free speech grounds. The head of the U.S. Postal Service, Louis DeJoy, resigned Monday after nearly 5 years in the position. DeJoy had said last month he had planned to step down but had not set a date. I'm Trey Westerberg with the SportsGrid News Flash.
Working as a dedicated Fidelity advisor, I always ask, what's important to you? I'll look at those priorities and goals alongside your full financial picture to build a comprehensive plan designed to help grow and protect your wealth. With proactive portfolio insights and an eye on taxes, I'm here to help you make the most of your money. I'm Laura Maxwell, and I'm a dedicated Fidelity advisor. Learn more at fidelity.com/wealth. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC, member NYSE, SIPC.
Progressive knows there are some surprisingly expensive things in life, like frames. Because you found a classic 70s concert poster. But when you went to get it framed, you realized the frame will cost about 4 times the amount of the poster. Which is actually absurd because no one will be looking at the frame, and if they are, then you severely overestimated how cool this poster is. But then you remember by switching your home and auto to Progressive, you could save hundreds and put it towards a classic 70s concert poster in an absurdly overpriced frame. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all
You
states.
don't have to listen to SportsGrid. You can always go out in the woods at night, look up, and wish on a shooting star. Or you can get the winning edge right here. And you won't find any ticks on you the next day. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
You guys know Major League Baseball starts tomorrow, at least today. Maybe I surprised a couple of you doing that. I'm excited. And what a sports day that we have tomorrow. If we're just lining up some of the games here in Major League Baseball, as I was taking a look at a little bit earlier. Bets tomorrow, I guess I'm probably just going to get down with a couple to have some fun. But this is like the opening day to me is the worst case scenario. You're probably not going to get a lot of great weather spots. I got to check in on Texas because, it's in a dome. It doesn't matter if it rains or not. You take a look at Toronto. It doesn't matter because it's in a dome. But the Yankees, 3:05 p.m. Wind blowing out the right field about 10 miles per hour, which is awesome. Temperature around 50 degrees, which isn't bad, and no precipitation in the forecast. Like, that's really sometimes as good as you're going to get. In Washington, which is where my Philadelphia Phillies take the stage tomorrow. 60 degrees, wind blowing out to right field, so not too bad. But betting strategies early on. You guys know a lot of the stuff I use, and I share it with a lot of people. Many people will contact me behind the scenes at Right Side VP. Hey, Donnie, what websites do you use? What statistics do you like? And 9 times out of 10, I'm pointing everybody in the right direction just because I like to do that. We talk about being a man of the people. That's what a man of the people is, because there were times where I needed help, or I didn't understand a statistic that somebody was reading to me, or I didn't know what websites really helped you out in handicapping. And the advent of social media really goes a long way with doing that. And I like doing that for the people out here. So for me, just to give you a little bio, what I usually like to do. Yes, we'll be betting in April. Yes, I expect to win money in April. But that sweet spot starts to come in right around the start of May 1st. And then again, really heats up in the month of June and July before the All-Star break. That's where you still have teams playing hard every single day. There's no winners and losers per se on we can't make the playoffs. Teams will start to fade post All-Star break. We get that. But that's where you get that real sweet spot where pitchers have 30, 60, 90 days into the season. You have plenty of statistics to look at. Same thing with the batters. If righty-lefty splits, home and away, how do they perform in this circumstances? That's all there. But when you get to opening day, like opening day is the worst case scenario for me. I like to fade bad pitchers against good lineups. I also like to take lineups that a lot of people aren't paying attention to and use that to my advantage with lower team totals. But also, you saw me last year really getting involved in the marketplace, which is just about at every sports book now, where you can bet over runs, hits, and RBI. 1.5, 2.5, 3.5, 4.5, if you want to get a little bit slick on there. And you know I love myself just some straight RBIs at that point as well. All makes some sense. But opening day, it's everybody's best pitcher versus everybody's best pitcher in cooler temperatures, a lot of excitement, and a lot of uncertainty. Like tomorrow, we talked about on the show this morning, Detroit and Los Angeles, Skubal versus Snell. Minus 164 price is a favorite towards Snell. I don't know. You're going to fade either one of those pitchers? I'm not going to do that. The Philadelphia Phillies, myself, obviously, Zach Wheeler's going to take on Mackenzie Gore, 7.5 line, heavy favorite to the Phillies. Like, I want to get down on some of these bets, but you're trying to take, like, hey, are you going to fade Paul Skeens tomorrow in a dome against Sandy Alcantara, getting his season underway after having that devastating elbow surgery? 6.5 line at that point. I don't like any of that stuff, but we will be betting. But the reason I bring this up is, starting to get used to reviewing statistics once again. And I'm interested to see what the flavor of the year would be. Like usually for me, my favorite statistics, weighted on base percentage. Now a lot of people look at expected weighted on base percentage. You take a look at ISO power number, expected ISO power number for the pitchers and the hitters at this point. That's what I like to see. So tomorrow, and one of my favorite sites to use is Roto Grinders. Very simple and easy to read. Monthly subscription. Gives you everything you need to know on a day-to-day basis to try to handicap. But also, Fangraphs is indispensable. If you're not using that also, when you really want to dig down into the stats that matter, and trust me, there are so many statistics on that website that could make your brain absolutely fry. Like, I don't understand what I'm looking at. I don't know what some of these things mean at this point. A lot of Major League Baseball guys is trial and error all the way through. It is the start because it used to be same way with everybody else 15 years ago. That guy's got a good ERA. This guy doesn't have a good ERA. Let's bet the guy with the good ERA. We don't really look at ERA as like a baseline now, just to have an underlying metric of a pitcher that can easily be understood throughout the public. But from a betting strategy, I don't use that at all. Fly ball rates, strikeout rates, walk rates, all that stuff plays into it. And Roto Grinders and also Fangraphs are two great ones for that. Also, just to give a little tip to the people out there, if you're listening as well, depending on what phone service you have, I date back all the way to the voice stream days at the end of the 1990s, which eventually turned into T-Mobile. T-Mobile gives you free MLB.TV for the year over the next 2 days if you just have the service and hit redeem. I use it every year, saves you over $100. Anytime you want a game anywhere, you're out in the car, pop it on. You got a close game, you got a team total trying to hit over 3.5. The bases are juiced with one out. You want to pop in. It's a wonderful product to have. If you spend money on it, so be it. But if you have T-Mobile, you get that free. So anybody out there like myself with T-Mobile, go out and get yourself that MLB.TV package. But Roto Grinders, what I'm waiting for is the Plate IQ to come up. Like, it hasn't come up yet because why? There's no official starting lineups, and when they do. But I got to tell you, like, just seeing the timeline. Like, I have my Twitter set up on X Pro, We have all the revolving lines. You don't have to refresh it. And baseball's on one section, football's on one section, information, notifications, all that good stuff there. Just to see on the timeline again tomorrow, like the home run accounts that post where you see the video and where it pops up. I love that. Like sometimes I just set my phone to those accounts and say, ring me through, where there'll be times in the summer and the spring, I'll go on a Sunday and pick like 8 guys to hit a home run, but just pop in 10 or 15 bucks a piece on those and set it. And every time my phone buzzes, bzz, 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 I'm like, ooh, somebody hit a home run. Was it my guy? I love to do that. Baseball, like you can watch baseball, and it's probably the easiest sport. Football's the easiest sport because you'll watch that all the way through. I'm never walking away from my TV because I don't like what's going on at this point. I'm going to watch it. Basketball is ridiculous to try to bet. It really is. It's up and down the court, so much to watch at this point. But Major League Baseball, it's the perfect sport that you can just jump in at any time. Hey, you know what? I'm going to bet this game in the 4th inning. They have 2 runs on the board. The live number is 7.5. Bases loaded, 1 out. Runner on 2nd and 3rd, nobody out. Let me just dip into that game and watch it to see how it plays out. Baseball is so much fun to bet. It's round the clock, it feels like, every single day, 7 days a week, dozens and dozens and dozens of games. It's like having an NFL card every single day of the week. And that starts tomorrow at 3:05 Eastern between the Milwaukee Brewers and the New York Yankees. It's Moneyline. It's Boy DRS. We'll be right back.
Loser is kind of a mean-spirited slur.
But it doesn't have to stick.
Tell them to listen to SportsGrid and fix it.
No, thank you. Later.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
The SportsGrid Radio Network presents This Date in Sports History.
1979, at the 41st NCAA Men's Basketball Championship, Michigan State beats Indiana State 75-64. This marks the start of the rivalry between Hall of Famers Magic Johnson and Larry Bird.
Perhaps we've never seen a final game with 2 greater individual players than Larry Bird, the Player of the Year from Indiana State, and the Magic Man from East Lansing, Irvin Johnson.
For SportsGrid Radio, I'm Mike DeMurgis.
The Technology Minute with George Capalbo.
New Roar University research finds, unremarkably, when you burn your hand on the stove, it really hurts. However, if your hand is hidden so you can't see it while it's getting burned, while you're staring at a lifelike rubber hand, it doesn't hurt much.
Huh?
Kids, don't try this at home, but this confusing rubber hand illusion has uncovered a complicated relationship between the human mind and pain. Maybe leading to effective new therapies for chronic discomfort. However, no information yet on the effects on the nervous system from wearing a rubber nose. Follow me at G. Capalbo on X, and stay tuned to The Technology Minute for more cool stuff like this.
Sports Rage tonight.
I've said it before, March Madness, like the actual NCAA tournament, it's for amateurs. It's like New Year's Eve. Every jackass, Johnny and Sally, go out on New Year's Eve, right? And, oh, we're partiers. We go out on New Year's Eve. We go out on Halloween. Now, the real drunks are going out on Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays. You know what I'm saying?
It's Sports Rage tonight with Gabe Morency. Weekdays, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 Pacific on the SportsGrid Radio Network. Winning is no accident.
You gotta be smart about it.
It takes a plan. All centered around expert analysis and trusted information.
That's what you get right here.
The winning edge. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
There's nothing more exciting here than Major League Baseball on the horizon, and as well as a Sweet 16 and Elite 8 that is going to be unbelievable, and that starts tomorrow. We're going to get into some of those topics in just a few moments. But in this segment, I just want to set the stage for what we anticipate happening in college basketball in the future. And I say this as a person that never thought that college players should be paid for their athletic services at a university. And a lot of people do disagree with me on that. Now, for me, again, I have a different perspective. I was a Division III football player, played for the love of the game. Not in front of big crowds, but I love the sport. I love the camaraderie. And I had to pay my school to go to school for tuition in order to play football. Now, you might say, well, Donnie, you just weren't good enough to get a Division I scholarship. You're right, I wasn't. I wasn't good enough for that, specifically coming out of high school. Not that big, not that fast, not that strong. Obviously, as you mature from 18 to 22, you get bigger, faster, and stronger. And my senior year, I probably could have moved up a level at that point, but there was nothing like that. People weren't really transferring all that much back in the day, higher or lower, because if you did transfer lower, you had to sit out a year. Excuse me, Division I, if you're transferring to sit out, you didn't really have to do that. But why would I be going to another school at that point, right? So I played for the love of the game. That's where it sits here. Now, my argument has always been through is, yes, the kids do make their universities a lot of money. It's almost like an internship, like a minor league system before you get to pros. And where we always got caught up on these hangups was, for me, is where they would say, like, it's akin to slavery. You're using their services and you're not giving them payback. And I say to myself, they don't have student loans when they get out of college. They're probably at a major university getting a great education that when they leave school, they have no student debt. They have an unbelievable networking experience where if they played for Ohio State or for Duke or Carolina or Miami, you get out into the job world, doors automatically open for you. And that's what it's about. And also understand this. 98% of college players never play professionally. So they're playing at the highest level to get the best education they can and have doors open for them with no debt once they leave their university. People say, like, whoa, that's unfair. Okay. If you thought that was unfair in college back in the day, nobody said you have to go to school. If you're the best basketball player in the country and you wanted to go to Kentucky, and Kentucky couldn't pay you to go, I'm not talking about bag deals under the table and $50,000, $100,000, $300,000 to your uncle so you would go and he'd filter some of the money back to you. I'm just saying, if it was such an illegal activity and you're the best basketball player, sit out. Just stay out. If you're a football player, you're the best high school football player in the country. I'm not going to Ohio State where I'm not going to get paid. Sit out the next couple of years and then go pro and turn that way. Go work in another environment. You will be just fine. Now, initially when the NIL came in, name, image, and likeness. And Kevin always loves this. He's not here today. But the thought process behind that was the starting tight end for the Ohio State University could make a deal with a local pizza shop that would say, we're going to make a poster of you. We're going to give you $1,500 cash, and you can have as much pizza as you want throughout your stay here at Ohio State. Name, image, and likeness. Because trust me, back in the day, if my parents showed up to school on a football weekend and each one of me handed $20, I felt like I was a millionaire. Every college kid had that experience. If you had $5 in your wallet, you felt like you were paid for the next year and could do whatever you wanted. That's how we were. We were poor in college. I didn't have a chance in the regular season or primarily in the off season as opposed to the summer to get a job. I was worried about my school, worried about working out, being the best human being I can, and then I would work in the summer, pick up a little bit extra cash. But the NIL is no longer name, image, likeness. NIL is a fraud for pay me as much money as you can before I can get to the school for my services, whether or not I play well. That's the process we're in now. Now, some people also might be looking at the NCAA tournament, and I don't mind this angle of it. If we are going to lose out on the Cinderella stories to win a round 2 or 3 or wind up in the Final Four because of the transfer rule in the NIL, I'm fine with that. We might have had the most Thursday, Friday games per se, or even Saturday, Sunday in the opening weekend. But you know what's good? We have banger after banger after banger right now. Everybody loves the Cinderella until they win that basketball game. And then you get upset that they play a really good team in the next game. You say, boy, I wish the other blue blood played this really good team. We don't have that anymore. So if the NIL era is ruining college basketball for you, there's chances you ruined it for yourself because you wanted the players to get paid. I didn't want them to, but I see the silver lining. It's more like professional basketball where just give me the really good teams that make it in, and I'm fine with that. The Sweet 16, maybe the best and strongest field Sweet 16 we've ever seen. Why? Because we don't have those bum teams invading. Hey, here comes Drake. No, they're out of it. Give me the big, let's win championships. Your boy DRS, more hot topics on the way to Moneyline.
It's easy to get SportsGrid almost anywhere with our mobile app.
So give us a break.
We're not going to tap your screen for you. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Progressive presents the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders. NBA action Tuesday night. The Pistons beat the Spurs 122-96. The Knicks scored a 128-113 victory over the Mavericks. The Heat beat Golden State 112-86. The Magic 111-104 winners over the Hornets. Houston 121-114 over Atlanta. The Grizzlies beat the Jazz 140-103. The Cavaliers 122-111 winners at Portland. The Thunder beat the Kings 121-105. Oak City riding a 7-game winning streak. NHL in overtime, the Flames beat the Kraken 4-3. The Avalanche beat the Red Wings 5-2. In overtime, the Jets cut by the Capitals 3-2. The Golden Knights 5-1 winners at Minnesota. The Blues scored a 6-1 win over Montreal. St. Louis riding a 7-game winning streak. Bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive.
That's the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
This is the sale you've been waiting for. The Macy's Spring VIP sale is here. Exclusive savings on the season's most loved brands with an extra 30% off Avec Les Filles, Karl Lagerfeld, DKNY, and more. Plus, get 15% off beauty essentials from MAC, Armani Beauty, and too many others to mention. So get to the Macy's Spring VIP sale now and shop brands you love at prices you'll love even more. Savings off regular and already reduced prices. Exclusions apply.
I'm Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I learned about atrial fibrillation the hard way. My symptoms would come and go. Shortness of breath, fatigue. I kept going. Then I got so lightheaded, I couldn't. My doctor said I have AFib, so I'm about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. Other symptoms, irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain can come and go, but the risk of stroke stays. If you have symptoms, tell a doctor. Visit notimetowait.com.
Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
How to tell if you have the winning edge. Take a sheet of paper.
Crumple into a ball.
Throw it at a trash can. Even if you miss, so long as you're listening to us.
You have it. Get the winning edge.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Piggybacking off that NIL talk we were just talking about before the break here, Matt Norlander, who I follow under college basketball, it says, breaking Players Era Festival, an event that pays millions in NIL to players and debuted with 8 teams this season, intends to expand to 32 schools in 2026, sources tell at CBS Sports. Yes, 32 teams, making it the biggest non-NCAA tournament event in college sports history. So there you go, again. More pay to play, enjoy it, have some fun with it. Mid-majors are gone, which I'm okay with again. Same thing in football. If we do away with the bowl games, we'd be better off for it. Just give me the best teams playing for the biggest prizes at the end of the season. I think we all win. But it is what it is. It's a changing landscape. It will continue to get worse because anybody that you like, from a coaching perspective in the mid-majors and or player, they're all getting bought out now by the bigger teams after they have one decent season. No longer do you have the 4th and 5th year seniors on the mid-majors trying to knock off the one-and-dones in college basketball, which used to be kind of fun. But again, if we just have great Sweet 16s like we do now, I am certainly okay with that. Also touching on this topic once again to start the show was Russell Wilson to the New York Giants. And the reason why I was going back and forth on Twitter so many times is I hate incompetence. And the Giants are the most incompetent franchise in sports right now because it's malpractice against their fans. The Mara family, dating back hundreds of years, it feels like 100 years, in Giants football lore, was one of the flagship franchises in football. They were about championships, Lombardis, superstar players, and a fan base that could be proud of their football team. That's no longer the case. They're embarrassing. The Giants fans themselves, as an Eagle fan, I feel bad for the Giants because you have now a ship with no rudder that's going in no direction and not pulling the same. If you are a fan of the New York Giants, your only goal should be this team tanking bad enough to get a number 1 overall pick and blowing out your front office and your head coaching staff, and hopefully your owner steps down or sells the team at this point. That's where you should be. The fact that you should be so angry today as a Giants fan that Russell Wilson got signed yesterday, because it means one of two things. If you do draft a quarterback this year, why did you pay Russell Wilson? Why did you pay, Jameis Winston? And why did you draft a quarterback third? He said, well, Donnie, what do you mean? Like that could be their future quarterback. Let's just say it's Shedeur Sanders. So you're telling me you drafted Shedeur, and instead of rebuilding that offensive line, getting other elite players, you decide to spend your allocation on 2 quarterbacks to back him up. Makes no sense. You wanted to sign Jameis Winston as a backup? I'm fine with that. He's cheap. And then you have your starting quarterback that you draft. I'm okay with that. You'll take your lumps this season. You'll get an even better draft pick the next year, but in hopes that you have your franchise quarterback already. Case in point, New England. They fired their head coach because he won a game late in the season, which cost them the number 1 overall pick, but they think they have their quarterback of the future. So for them sliding, let's just say from 1 to 4, it's not that big of a deal for them, even though if they just lost those games and had their franchise quarterback, they could have traded out the 1 spot for a king's ransom and really started to improve that team rapidly over the next couple of years. They spent a lot of money, but then the draft capital would be behind that. But from a Giants perspective, they did the absolute worst thing. So if your plan is to draft your quarterback and not play him this year, which is completely asinine, and play Russell Wilson and win, let's just say, 6 to 7 games, you then look forward to next year by going, well, I really don't know what I have in my rookie quarterback because he didn't play last year. We won more than enough games where now I'm drafting at 9, 10, 11, and 12 instead of 1, 2, or 3, and that hurt, and we got no productivity out of this season, as opposed to what the Jets are doing at this point. Let's get a young quarterback in Justin Fields. Let's take a look at him. We'll pay him a decent amount of money, but we can afford it, but he's young. If it turns out he's our franchise guy, we don't have to go to the draft. We're also going to cut the cancer out of the organization as the general manager, the head coaches, and also Aaron Rodgers, and we are going to start our foundation right now and build it accordingly. It's amazing as I talk now where the Jets are a better run franchise with Woody Johnson as their owner than what we're getting out of the New York Giants. Never used to be that way. Again, the Giants used to be the pillar of the community in the NFL and now the laughingstock because you are either in it to win a championship or build the foundation for a winning championship. No single organization that's self-respecting should say, our goal, because our general manager and coach are trying to save their job, is to not win 3 games next year, but hope to win 6 to 7 or 8 games next year. And then what do you say for the following season? The same exact thing. Our goal is not to win anything, but we just want to win 6, 7, or 8 games to save our job. Giants fans would understand if there was a blanket, press release that said, hear us out. Buy some time with us. We have this right. But the general manager, who's Joe Shane, was the guy that signed Daniel Jones to $40+ million. When I'm telling you right now, I am telling you this. Not one single NFL team was going to offer him $1 to be their starting quarterback. But the Giants, he's our guy, $40+ million. We laughed resoundingly across the board for weeks when that deal went down. Because you know what the talking point on that Daniel Jones deal was overall? If this is a bad deal that we gave him, we can get out after 2 years. Imagine you signing what you think to be your franchise guy, and the best part the press picks up is if the guy sucks, which he did, we can then give him up at this point and not really get hurt down the line. That's your general manager, and that's your coach that went with that quarterback. So when I sit in the room as an owner, I don't even care if I'm a helicopter owner, which means I don't pay any attention, but I fly in 2 times a year, and I want results. And I sit down and be like, who gave Daniel Jones this money? You, and you? Fired? Get out of my office. I need new leadership here. But the fact that the regime that thought Daniel Jones was the franchise quarterback is now making decisions for them to be again in self-preservation mode. So I'm going to tell you this right now. If the Giants had fired Joe Shane in the offseason like they should have, and Brian Dable, and both got shown the door for complete and utter incompetence towards their franchise, Giants fans, you would be feeling so much better today. They would have gutted that football team. They wouldn't have signed, probably still signed Jameis Winston because he means nothing in wins or losses, and then said, you know what? We're not sold on Shedeur Sanders at number 3. We're not going to overdraft. We are going to tank this season out to win 3 games again, and hopefully we can have the number 1 pick to get our choice of quarterback here. I guarantee you Giants fans aren't sitting here listening going no, it's been so bad the past couple of years. 5 wins would be so much fun this year. What are we doing? That's a Cleveland Browns, Vegas Raiders type moniker. We are so bad in the history of our franchise that we just need something to glom onto. That's not the Giants I knew growing up. The Giants I knew were in the playoffs every year, winning Super Bowls, legendary head coaches, and great players. You have none of that now. Absolutely none of it now. And it's because your owner is a flat-out moron. So it lit the fuse last night for me to hear about Russell Wilson going to the Giants. It just did. It really pains me because I remember the late 1990s going to school in northern New Jersey, where the Giants routinely used to beat the Eagles' head in. I'm like, man, if there's ever time to turn the tables on this franchise, they got it together. They got Super Bowls. They beat us every year. I don't know what happened. Then Andy Reid got to town, and the Eagles have absolutely beat the Giants like a drum for 25 straight years, the little brother of the Eagles. Now, the Eagles now have 2 Super Bowl titles in the past 7-8 years at this point and have completely surpassed the Giants, who are a laughing stock in the NFL right now. As an Eagles fan, I love it. Maybe I don't want the Giants to ever be good again, but the fact of the matter is there are Giants fans out here that listen and say, this is the worst move we've ever made. Just listen to me. As an Eagles fan talking to you Giants fans, just get better, man. I know you can't say, I'm going to give up my season tickets. Plenty of people will take them in New York. Same thing at Philadelphia. That doesn't work in football hotbed places. It just doesn't. But the fact that the Giants are saddled with the worst owner maybe now in the NFL, the most incompetent general manager, and the worst head coach who has no idea how to coach his way out of a paper bag at this point now, just trying to win 4 games next year so he can actually have a job back and say, hey, Mr. Mara, we won 3 last year, we won 4 this year. Now we're on the way up. Brutal. Absolutely brutal. I had to get that off my chest. Because after this commercial break, we're going to refocus ourselves, recenter ourselves. Sweet 16, Elite 8 action, Major League Baseball opening day. Take those deep breaths in and out. I feel you, Giants fans. I don't want you to win any games because I'm an Eagles fan, but I feel you. We've been down that path before. I'm a Sixers fan. We tank all the time. We get used to it here. I would rather the Sixers be tanking every single year than get to the playoffs and lose after round 1. No doubt in my mind. Give me 50 years of tanking to try to get better than to be on that treadmill in the NFL or the NBA, which leads to nowhere. We'll be back. Moneyline with DRS.
You're listening to one of the last places on earth where a man can be a man and not get those looks.
Welcome aboard, good sir.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Progressive presents the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders. USC women's basketball is headed to the Sweet 16, but they will be without star Juju Watkins. The team's leading scorer tore her ACL in their second round win over Mississippi State. Trojans head coach Lindsey Gottlieb says everyone stepped up once Watkins was injured.
You had to be here to feel it, I think. I don't know if people saw that through the TV, but it was a palpable thing that I think everyone wanted to step up for one another. And I just had to guide them, in that direction. You never want anyone to go down, especially someone, like Juju that we all, lean on in so many ways. But this team rallied. They rallied for her. They rallied for each other. Our fans had our back. I'm just really proud. And I think we showed what kind of team we are.
Bundle auto and home, renters, or condo and save with Progressive.
That's the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
Spring has sprung, and so have the deals at Kohl's Spring Savings Event. I just got a comfy tee for just $7.99, a cute swimsuit for $19.99, 40% off patio furniture from my backyard, and so much more. So don't wait. These deals are too good to miss. Hurry over to Kohl's to save big on warm weather essentials during their Spring Savings Event today. Select styles. Offers end March 30th. Some exclusions apply. See store or Kohls.com for details.
Progressive Home Quote Explorer lets you easily compare rates, so shopping for insurance might be the easiest part of owning a home. Definitely easier than this.
Psst, honey, flash. There's a salesman walking up the driveway.
Oh no, he's got a clipboard.
What do we do?
Get down.
Down?
On the floor, you...
Shoot, did he see us?
Why are you breathing so loud?
Home ownership isn't easy, but with Progressive's Home Quote Explorer, shopping for home insurance is. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and third-party insurers. Comparison rates not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
When it comes to odds on daily sporting events, it's complicated when you factor in everything from current wind speed
to how hot a player's girlfriend is.
But you don't have to mess with that.
Just keep it here and listen.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Right back out of here, solo mission on a Wednesday. Hump day here as we wait for one of the most exciting days in professional and collegiate sports. Gliding. Major League Baseball opening day tomorrow. So you have an afternoon full of baseball and a night full of basketball. And I understand. I live in New Jersey. Shame on me. Yeah, we have high taxes. It's not a bad area to live, per se, because you get everything you want. You got good schools and, you're in the proximity to New York City. You're in the proximity to Philadelphia, to Baltimore. I get it here. But the one thing I can't understand is, outside of Las Vegas in 2017, sports gambling wasn't legal in the United States per se. I think one other state was like Oregon, which you could because they were like grandfathered in but didn't have it active. But New Jersey fought that fight for the rest of you to get your legalized sports gambling, which is around in most states out here now. And credit that to Chris Christie at the time, really fought for it. Ray Lesniak, one of the assemblymen who really got the ball rolling. It was almost like a miracle when it got done, and it was such a good day. It always should have been legal, but now it finally was. But also some stipulations that are put in certain states, which includes New Jersey to a large degree. I don't, like, it used to be like we couldn't have, a conference championship or whatever in like Las Vegas because it was gambling and you can gamble in Vegas, but you can't have you know what I mean? Like all that taboo stuff. Or listening to Al Michaels like, hey, that last touchdown meant a lot to some people out here. The intuition the inclination to talk about gambling without talking about gambling, sort of hiding around it where wink, wink, everybody knows about it. But in New Jersey, if a game is played in New Jersey, or if it's just a New Jersey team like Rutgers goes to Illinois to play, I can't bet on Rutgers because I live in the state of New Jersey and they're a state school. It doesn't make any sense, but it's just the way it is. But also, to compound the situation, instead of just playing in like, I don't know, Madison Square Garden or Philadelphia in the Wells Fargo Center, they're playing in Newark, which is in New Jersey. So for some of the best games of the year, legally I'm talking about, I can't bet BYU or Alabama, and I can't bet Arizona versus Duke. And then let's just say those two games, or that game takes place in the Elite Eight on Saturday in that region. I can't bet Alabama and Duke. It upsets me to the nth degree. It really does, because they're great prop bets probably. They're great sides and totals you can take, and I won't be able to participate. It is what it is, and there's games still to be played. So you got 4 games on Thursday in the Sweet 16. 4 games on Friday. And, of course, Sweet 16. 4 games, 8 teams per day to make the Elite Eight on the weekend for Saturday and Sunday. If we're looking at that card tomorrow, game number 1 is BYU and Alabama. Game number 2 is Maryland, Florida. Game number 3, Arizona, Duke. Arkansas and Texas Tech is the 4th game. And granted, I get upset about the start times for the second game. Arizona, Duke on the East Coast, 9:39, which means that'll tip probably around 9:50 at the earliest. And then Arkansas and Texas Tech, good luck starting that game before 10:15 or 10:20, which is stupid. It's just the way it is. But also understand this, bringing up the environments that the teams are going to play in. Because Friday's games, Mississippi and Michigan State, Kentucky and Tennessee, Michigan, Auburn, Purdue, and Houston. All of these games should be great games, but also the environments, BYU and Alabama, as well as Arizona and Duke. Those 2 games, where are they going to be played? In Newark, in a basketball arena here in New Jersey. You take a look at Maryland and Florida and Arkansas and Texas Tech. Those 2 games will be played on the West Coast at the Chase Center where the Golden State Warriors play, a normal NBA arena. Flip it forward towards Friday. You take a look at Mississippi and Michigan State and also Michigan and Auburn. Those 2 games are going to take place in the South in Atlanta, not at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, but they are going to be played at State Farm Arena, which is the home of the Atlanta Hawks. Makes sense. Now, the final 2 games on Friday, or should I say 2 of the games on Friday, Kentucky and Tennessee, Purdue and Houston. They're going to be played in Indianapolis. That's not an NBA arena. They're playing at Lucas Oil Stadium, which is home to the Indianapolis Colts. So you have that basketball court in the middle of an NBA arena as opposed to the other teams playing in a normal environment. So that could handicap or impact your handicapping strategies. Case in point, Kentucky, Tennessee, Purdue, Houston. The calling card for those 2 games, Tennessee's defense and Houston's defense. Yes, those teams do like to shoot the 3-point shot, and that's going to factor in, but don't you normally lean on defense at times like this if you think scoring, I'm not saying at a premium, and we're not saying that these numbers are automatically going to go over or under. If we look at the props in this game, Purdue, Houston at the FanDuel Sportsbook. Opened up at 131.5, still sits at 131.5. That hasn't changed. Kentucky and Tennessee, 145.5, has dropped down to 144.5. So not a lot of movement, and maybe that changes once we get to Friday because most people, which I include the betting public in that, are not going to bet these games a couple days out. They open up their laptops Friday night after work. Let's get down to business. Let's start betting games here. And some of those angles might come in. And also understand this. Some of the betting public not understanding where these games are actually played at as opposed to what times they actually play. So maybe that's getting left out. But that is going to be in my crawl. Is it one of those where we take the games on Friday, which is Kentucky, Tennessee, Purdue, and Houston, and just bet, let's just say, the first half under, where you're going to get good defense out of Houston and Tennessee. Maybe they can slow down those two high-powered offenses, or should we say efficient offenses, where they don't shoot all that well because they're not used to it. Now, things do change because in the Sweet 16, both of those teams will be playing the winners on that Friday night. Once we get to Sunday, we'll have a couple days of practice in there and a full game in there, and maybe the scoring does change to a little bit higher and maybe not that big of a disadvantage for the shooting angles as you might get just to start there. But if we focus on tomorrow's games, right? BYU, Alabama. I did take Alabama, as I told you, at -4.5. They're up to 5.5 now. Like, that was my wager in that game. I said, you know what? Makes some sense here. Alabama's going to play better defense than BYU. Alabama's going to shoot the three-point shot. BYU doesn't defend it all that well. And BYU likes to shoot the three-point shot, and Alabama will defend it. It's as simple as that. And we're not worried about any shooting lanes, and they can't get the right eyesight there because it's a football stadium. That's not happening. Maryland, Florida is a little bit closer to me because my old take the points and pray adage starts to creep in and say, neutral court, Maryland's good. We know Florida's good. I think that Maryland can hang around in this game with a possible chance to win it. I'm not so sure. But the 6.5 seems a little bit strong to me on a neutral court to do that. And also keep in mind, Maryland, East Coast, Florida, East Coast, playing at the Chase Center in San Francisco at a game that's going to start at 4:30 in the afternoon. That's an interesting one tomorrow. We're away 24 hours or so. We're partying tomorrow, people. Baseball and basketball. We'll be right back.
This is the place. This is where you'll get expert perspectives and sports gaming strategies 24/7.
And it's free.
Beat that, you cheap. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. The new SportsGrid app is now available on iOS and the App Store. Experience the ultimate sports betting companion that provides personalized content from your favorite hosts. In-depth matchup previews, game and prop picks, live odds, stats, scores, and more. All in one place. And of course, on the SportsGrid app, you can tune into our live television and radio coverage anytime. On the go, wherever you are. Download the SportsGrid app on the iOS App Store now. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Imagine combining the exciting investment opportunity of cryptocurrencies with the power of artificial intelligence to maximize your IRA, 401k, or other investment funds. Listen, if you're looking for ways to accelerate your retirement growth, Block Trust IRA has market-leading strategies and solutions for all levels of investors, from $1,000 to millions. And they partner with Bitcoin Magazine's #1 crypto trading fund in the world to maximize your returns. Plus, their team of IRA specialists is here to help you roll over your IRA or qualified retirement account to the new world of cryptocurrency investments. So make this free call right now to set up your account and learn more.
800-434-5313. 800-434-5313. 800-434-5313. That's 800-434-5313.
Carver and Lisi.
By the way, great intro song, Matthias. I like that. That's going to be the new intro on Wednesdays with Carver and sometimes Lisi. Hey, look at this. I'm in the credits tonight. I made it to the big time. Look at this.
We had a discussion about this last night.
I was watching. I got a lot of things going on, Joe. Got a lot of things going on.
I don't understand what you're upset about. You're not on the show that night.
It's Carver and Lisi with Mike Carver and Joe Lisi. Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific. On the SportsGrid Radio Network. Think of us as your cool roommate that has this innate gift of somehow always picking winners and never bugs you about doing the dishes or paying rent. Sports gaming strategies and information 24/7.
Get the winning edge.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
The portal's open, people. The college basketball portal's open. Over 1,000 players have already entered into it. We love it. Pay to play. And as I said this, I don't agree that they should have ever gotten paid, but since they are now, it is their duty. If you are a college basketball player at the Division I level, regardless if you like your school, dislike your school, want to leave, or actually don't want to leave, every single player should be in the portal every single time the portal opens. Get your money. If it's a money business, which it is now, it's no longer collegiate athletics where we're amateurs. We are professionals now. You owe it to yourself. It's like a football player not opting for free agency because he likes to play for the New England Patriots. Players would rip, if they had a good year, they would rip up their contract and enter into free agency immediately the next season to get paid and go wherever they want to here. College kids should do that now. If the portal's open, the NIL money is flowing, you should be leaving every school. Players that you never thought in a million years would want to leave. Like Jeremiah Smith, let's just say, for the Ohio State Buckeyes, the best wide receiver in the country, young kid after his freshman year. They win a championship. He should be in the portal immediately. Absolutely immediately. If USC wants to pay him $8 million to play wide receiver, he should leave immediately Ohio State, regardless if he likes it there. Just the way it is. The best, like Arch Manning, should be in the portal right now in college football if it's open to be sold to the highest bidder every single season. That's what they should be doing. For, hey, it's what you people wanted out there, so we should be living up to the most for the college kids here. Taking a look tomorrow. Duke and Arizona at 9:39, Newark, New Jersey, 9.5 is the spread. Arizona's upside, as I always like to talk about that, is really interesting to me. A team that was good during the regular season, but the expectations where they could be possibly great are there. But do you have enough to beat Duke? Like, Duke is number one in the country offensively with efficiency. There's nothing they don't do. They don't turn it over. They rebound. They shoot the three at a high rate. They make the 2 percentage at a high rate, like top 20 in all those categories. As a team getting to the free throw line, 79%, top 20 in the country. You take a look at Arizona's offense, which is very good, but where do they line up against Duke defense? Duke's defense is number 4 in efficiency in the country and number 1 in effective field goal percentage. Like, there are no areas of entry that you can beat Duke up. Like, Duke has to have a completely injured, foul trouble, and a horrible night, it feels like, for them to lose. But we're not taking a look at them in the aspect of, I have them in my bracket, and I think they will advance. You have that mindset here is, can they win by, let's just say, 10 points in this game? Cooper Flagg, as we know, missed a good portion of the ACC tournament. Now he's back. Now he's healthy. 22 minutes. We played close to 30 minutes in his last game. No worse for the wear. Tyrese Proctor is lighting the world on fire from three-point range. Malawach, the center, along with Gongba, two tremendous players in the down low post that just intimidate at being 7'2" and 6'11". This team is loaded to the gills here to win another championship. But are you betting them out there? Are you betting those Duke Blue Devils? What do you think? You want to lay the 10 points? Again, this is neutral site. If this, to be honest, taking the points and praying, right, was my moniker for the past 15 years, basically, feels like, in NCAA action. Because you had a legitimate chance for the underdogs, the teams that were not on the top lines, the teams that won their conference tournaments from the mid-majors with 4th and 5th year seniors and being around each other with the same coach for a numerous amount of years. That's no longer the case. I'm wondering now if we take a look at all of these games in the Sweet 16, because we'll hit these up again tomorrow. We'll talk Major League Baseball tomorrow. But if we take these 8 games right now, BYU getting 5.5, Maryland getting 6.5, Arizona getting 9.5, Arkansas getting 5.5, Mississippi getting 3.5, Kentucky getting 4.5, Michigan getting 9.5, and Purdue getting 7.5. What would your bet be right now if I told you had to take all of the dogs in all 8 of those games? I actually think there's a legitimate chance that, 4-4, of course, that's where you flip the coin and get after. You're not handicapping. But I honestly believe 5-3 or better if you just took the points and pray. Like for me, if I said, who's likely to pull off an upset, like outright in their game? Arkansas maybe against Texas Tech, gum it up a little bit. Maybe Texas Tech not ready to play, still injured with Chance McMillan. Mississippi against Michigan State, an SEC team that's playing really well at the right time of year. Kentucky's already beat Tennessee 2 times this season, looking for the 3rd time as a charm, getting points. Michigan, who won the conference tournament at the end of the year in the Big Ten and has played well in the tournament, used to playing close games. And then Purdue, pretty good ball club, getting 7.5. I'm going to say at least 5-3. I'm going to go 5-3 to the dogs. I think if you're taking the points and praying, this is the time to do it. That'll do it for our show today on a Wednesday. Tomorrow, what a big day in sports. For JP behind the wheels of steel, I'm your boy Donnie Rightside. Thanks for listening. See you tomorrow.
It's easy to get SportsGrid almost anywhere with our mobile app.
So give us a break.
We're not going to tap your screen.
Over Atlanta. The Grizzlies beat the Jazz 140-103. The Cavaliers 122-111 winners at Portland. The Thunder beat the Kings 121-105. Oak City riding a 7-game winning streak. NHL in overtime, the Flames beat the Kraken 4-3. The Avalanche beat the Red Wings 5-2. In overtime, the Jets combined the Capitals 3-2. The Golden Knights 5-1 winners at Minnesota. The Blues scored a 6-1 win over Montreal. St. Louis riding a 7-game winning streak. Bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive.
That's the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
This is the sale you've been waiting for. The Macy's Spring VIP sale is here. Exclusive savings on the season's most loved brands with an extra 30% off Avec La Fille, Karl Lagerfeld, DKNY, and more. Plus, get 15% off beauty essentials from MAC, Armani Beauty, and too many others to mention. So get to the Macy's Spring VIP sale now and shop brands you love at prices you'll love even more. Savings off regular and already reduced prices. Exclusions apply.
I'm Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I learned about atrial fibrillation the hard way. My symptoms would come and go. Shortness of breath, fatigue. I kept going. Then I got so lightheaded, I couldn't. My doctor said I have AFib, so I'm about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. Other symptoms, irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain can come and go, but the risk of stroke stays. If you have symptoms, tell a doctor. Visit notimetowait.com.
Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
How many SportsGrid listeners does it take to change a light bulb?
It takes 2. 1 to change the light bulb.
And 1 to see if our mobile app can provide the same amount of light.
Get the winning edge.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
And welcome in to Football Full Circle. I'm Scott Wetzel alongside George Kurtz today as we sit in for Ben Stevens and Joe Lisi as we talk NFL for the next 60 minutes. Got some news to get to with the New York Giants apparently coming to terms on a 1-year deal with Russell Wilson. We got Stephon Diggs going up to the New England Patriots. We got Aaron Rodgers going, nowhere at this point, but maybe Pittsburgh. Who knows? We'll see who's left, and we got a possible change in the kickoff rules for the umpteenth time. We'll get to it all over the next 60 minutes here on the grid. What's going on, George? How are you today?
Doing well, Scott. You're doing well. You mentioned all that big news yesterday, the quarterback news. That's I said, I don't know what the Giants are doing, bro. I really don't. I don't know. What does this mean? Does this mean they're not taking a quarterback at 3, that they don't believe in Ward or Sanders, or they don't believe there's any chance those guys are going to fall to them, they don't want to make a deal, or they just are trying to acquire as many quarterbacks as possible to see if they can save their job as far as Dable and Shen are concerned?
Yeah, I don't know how this would save their job, though, really. I mean, because unless you think Russell Wilson's going to drink out of the fountain of youth, from what we saw to him to close out the season with Pittsburgh, he's going to be even worse, right, this year? When you consider, the Giants are obviously a lot worse than the Pittsburgh Steelers. So how would that, I've heard people say that. I don't understand how that would keep their jobs, because if they open up 1-4, 1-5, and it's the same old Giants, I mean, I don't think they get another shot next year. Maybe they do, but I would think that if they drafted a quarterback and, maybe, started him and they could go 5-6 wins, maybe show a little promise that would be easier to keep your job. If you're just worried about, am I going to be a Giant GM or a Giant head coach next year? Let me go draft a young kid. Let me tell ownership, yeah, you know what? We got 3-4 wins, 5 wins, but we got our quarterback in the future, so keep me here. Versus bringing in a couple of veterans like Winston and Russell and bomb out. Why would the ownership give you another reign at a new quarterback next season?
I think it's a great point, by the way, as far as the real life implications. Why were they given the shot anyway? Because with the number 3 pick, you had to assume they were going to take a quarterback, right? You're going to draft a young quarterback. And that's going to take a couple of years. All right, every now and then you do Jaden Daniels next year. You do draft a young quarterback, and he transforms the organization automatically here, and you become a playoff contender. But that's more the outlier than what's likely to happen here. I put up a thing yesterday on X where after the Giants signed Wilson that this meant one of 4 things: that they aren't trading up in the draft. They don't feel like Ward or Sanders is worth trading up for. all right, that they believe Ward and Sanders are going 1-2, and they don't have a chance to get him at 3. 3, that they just don't believe in Ward or Sanders, that they are, once again, that they are franchise quarterbacks. Or 4, which I think, by the way, if I would have put this in a poll, probably would have been the overwhelming winner here, they are just incompetent. Because, I mean, I think both this way will say that Wilson's better than Winston, right? Okay, fine, but is he that much better? I mean, if Winston was going to get you 5 wins, does Wilson get you 7? You're still not a playoff team. Right. You know, this is where I think, once again, and I agree with you, by the way, neither one's going to save their jobs, but they think it might. Oh, maybe Wilson can have, once again, he's a Hall of Fame. He was a Pro Bowl guy. Maybe he can get the 9. We'll get the 9. We'll save our jobs. This is what I think is happening here. And I just hope, listen, I want them to still draft Sanders at 3. I want this to be a complete mess. We have Wilson, Winston, and Sanders, and just throw a whole bunch of mud against the wall and let's see what sticks.
Yeah. I tell you, George, I've said this 1,000 times. It sounds like a broken record, but being a Giant fan, it just sits out there. It just does. It all goes back to the Giants beating the Indianapolis Colts in week 15 or 16, technically, since with the bye. Two games left in the regular season. They're sitting in the number 1 draft spot. All you have to do is lose the next 2 games. The next game's at Philadelphia, and you have the number 1 overall pick, and you can start your franchise fresh all over again. You got the quarterback of the future. You are all set. I don't understand why ownership, and it goes from the head coach to the GM to the owner. If you're the owner and you're in that situation, you go to the GM and you say, you know what, guys, you're coming back. All right. So right now, you can't say we want to lose these 2 games because the Dolphins tried that and got themselves in a whole lot of trouble. But if you're the owner, you go to the GM and you say, you know what, I've made that decision. You and Shane, or you and Dable both are coming back. So we're sitting in the number 1 spot. So let's not screw that up. And you walk out the door. You let your intentions known. Okay, lose the next 2 games. And then the GM has to relay that to the head coach. Hey, you know what? Take it for what it is, but the owner just said we're both coming back. So we're sitting in the number 1 spot. We got 2 games left. Don't do anything stupid. And I hear people say, well, the players aren't going to lose. I get that. The players aren't going to lose. But as a head coach, George, when it's 3rd and 3, you run the ball. When it's 1st down, you run the ball. When it's 2nd down, you run the ball. When it's, 3rd and 8, you run the ball. There are ways to make you lose games. You put people in positions where they're not going to be successful. It's as simple as that, without actually just telling the players we got to lose. And it just all reverts back to that. They lose there, they lose against the Eagles, and they got the number 1 pick. Instead, they have a meaningless, stupid, worthless win, and now they're sitting with the number 3 overall pick, and they're going to lose out the top 2 quarterbacks. That's my
I 1,000% agree with you, by the way. 1,000% agree with you on what you said there. All right, the players aren't going to – their players are always going to play their hardest. They want to win. Right. But if you want to lose a game, you can lose the game. All right, you don't call the right plays. It can be done. So I agree with you. Hey, the Patriots screwed up too, right? They had the number 1 pick, and they also won that dropped them down to 4. Yeah. So it is what it is. But
at least the Patriots have a quarterback. Like, they're not in a need. Like, they don't have to be number 1. Sure, so they're benefited, yes, but they don't need a quarterback. If they believe in Drake May, like I think they do, like the Giants do. I mean, it was there for the taking for the Giants.
Yeah, it was a meaningless win. We knew it at the time here. So, listen, I'm the Cowboy fan, so I guess I'm glad the Giants screwed up, even though the Cowboys are a mess of their own. So it is what it is here. I am very curious to see what the Giants are going to do at 3, assuming they stay at 3. I know they're not trading up now. If they were going to trade up, they wouldn't have signed Russell Wilson, right? That wouldn't have happened here. So are they trading down to get multiple picks? Okay, not the worst idea. Once again, they have a lot of holes to fill here. It wouldn't be the worst idea to get, another number 1 next year, maybe number 2 this year, whatever it might be, and still getting a number 1 later in the draft. Maybe that's what their plan is for someone who wants Abdul Carter and/or Travis Hunter. So it could certainly be a move here. But it's just strange. Like I said, I just find this because assuming, and I think we all assume that they have to win at least 8 games this year, Scott, at least 8 to save their jobs. All right. Wilson's not going to do it.
But even that, if they don't draft a quarterback, George, and let's say they get 8 wins, 8 and 9, though. 8 wins is no longer 500, right? 8 and 9 is not going to get into postseason. So they get 8 wins. They go 8 and 9, 7 and 10, maybe even 9 and 8 with Russell Wilson. Are they really bringing Russell back? Is that enough to keep their job and to, more importantly, bring Russell back and say, okay, we came close and we think Russell's going to be that much better next year? I mean, it's just
I don't think Matt would
still draft a quarterback. I think they still draft a quarterback. I really do. Despite
I think they get the quarterback, but not at 3. That'd be my guess right now. They'll take somebody later on in the draft, maybe Shaw or someone like that. Hey, listen, if someone falls
there
to the
really
top of
aren't
the
that
second round,
many.
maybe that's where they go.
Most of these guys.
I don't even like Ward or Sanders, Scott. I don't think Ward or Sanders are franchise guys.
I really like Ward. I really do.
I don't think when I say he's not a franchise, that's actually a wrong term because I think he's a franchise guy, but I don't think he's a transcender. That's someone. Oh, we got it. He's a quarterback, right? And listen, most teams don't have transcendent quarterbacks, right? Most teams have starting quarterbacks, which you have. There are very few transcendent guys here. I don't see Ward being that guy. Sanders, I think it's a complete dartboard throw. We'll see what happens here. Could hit, maybe he doesn't. Maybe he does hit, maybe he doesn't hit. I said, listen, these are all educational guesses. All right, we see this screwed up all the time here. Hey, look at what would happen between C.J. Stroud, right? He was the number 2 guy, and we thought Houston screwed up by winning that last game, and it ended up working out for him.
I still would like to know if you asked them, off the record, whatever the case may be, Houston, if you had the number 1 overall pick, would you have taken C.J. Stroud or Bryce Young? Because that was a 50-50 proposition. But I'd like to know if they just were given C.J. Stroud or would they actually have chosen him number 1. I don't know if we'll ever know. Same thing with Washington, with Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels. Interesting. All right, football full circle just getting underway. What's now for the Pittsburgh Steelers? We'll talk about that next.
4 out of 5 scientists agree it's smarter to be on SportsGrid, and we're pretty sure that one scientist is still a virgin.
He just gives that vibe.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
With the SportsGrid News Flash, I'm Trey Westerberg. A New York student is suing after high school officials painted over a parking spot that she had decorated with a watermelon slice, a symbol of support for Palestinians. The lawsuit was filed this month in Brooklyn federal court and argues that the Half Hollow Hills Central School District violated the students' free speech rights. The school district says the artwork was painted over in order to maintain neutrality on controversial political matters. A drag show scheduled for this week at Texas A&M University can go on as scheduled despite a Board of Regents ban on such performances, according to a federal judge. The ruling from Houston-based U.S. District Judge Lee Rosenthal blocked a university ban on drag performances on free speech grounds. The head of the U.S. Postal Service, Louis DeJoy, resigned Monday after nearly 5 years in the position. DeJoy had said last month he had planned to step down but had not set a date. I'm Trey Westerberg with the SportsGrid News Flash.
Working as a dedicated Fidelity advisor, I always ask, what's important to you? I'll look at those priorities and goals alongside your full financial picture to build a comprehensive plan designed to help grow and protect your wealth. With proactive portfolio insights and an eye on taxes, I'm here to help you make the most of your money. I'm Laura Maxwell, and I'm a dedicated Fidelity advisor. Learn more at fidelity.com/wealth. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC, member NYSE, SIPC.
Progressive knows there are some surprisingly expensive things in life, like frames. Because you found a classic 70s concert poster. But when you went to get it framed, you realized the frame will cost about 4 times the amount of the poster. Which is actually absurd because no one will be looking at the frame, and if they are, then you severely overestimated how cool this poster is. But then you remember by switching your home and auto to Progressive, you could save hundreds and put it towards a classic 70s concert poster in an absurdly overpriced frame. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states.
There's something you should know and always remember.
SportsGrid does not increase luck.
We're your unfair advantage for the latest sports gaming information. If you're looking for luck,
go find a horseshoe.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
All right, welcome back. It is Football Full Circle here on the grid. Scott Wetzel, George Kurtz in for Ben and Joe today. Taking a little NFL chat. Why not? With the big news yesterday. Not big news. But the dominoes at least have fallen. It looks like Giants coming to terms with Russell Wilson. That leaves, George, the Pittsburgh Steelers. We all kind of figured this is how it would go, right? I do believe that, I think Russell just got fed up with Aaron Rodgers, right? I think if he told Pittsburgh, I'm not coming back, I think the Steelers would then go back to Russell Wilson and say, okay, you want to come back another year. But I think Aaron Rodgers in his little escapade, whatever he's doing now, what tank he's in or what mountaintop range he's sitting in by himself, who knows? But I think Russell probably, just said, all right, I can't wait. I'm not going to take a chance. And you know what, Giants, you know what, I'll come sign with you. Whereas clearly I think Pittsburgh would be the better situation for him. But, so where does that leave Pittsburgh? Let's see, we'll play devil's advocate. Let's say Aaron Rodgers says, you know what, I really don't want to come back. Sorry. I mean, the Steelers are screwed. They got, you want to go to Carson Wentz? You want to give him a call? Ryan Tannehill, after sitting out all last year, you want to call him up? I mean, they could have done that last year. They got nobody. Who do they have as quarterback?
I mean, the guys you mentioned, Trey Lance, Cooper Rush, ex-Cowboy quarterbacks are out there. I mean, it'd be pretty desolate, right? You'd be toast. You'd be absolute toast, which is not what you want to be after you made the trade to get DK Metcalf, right? So, once again, they could draft the quarterback at 21. Maybe Milroe, Dart, or someone like that. It could be there and see what happens. But they already tried that with Pickett, and that didn't really work out, did it? Lower-ranked quarterback getting there. So, they'd be screwed. I think Rodgers knows this. Apparently, from what we've heard between Rodgers and Pittsburgh, is that the money's been worked out. They know what the money would be. It's just Aaron has to sign. All right? That's what you're waiting for here. And I don't know what he's hoping for. Is he hoping that maybe San Fran would trade Purdy? I mean, we've heard rumors about that, but they've been once again, that's mud against the wall. Probably not happening. Right. But is that what he's hoping for, to go to a better team? Get a chance at a Super Bowl? I understand that. Pittsburgh, even with Aaron Rodgers, you're a better team, but you're not Baltimore. You're probably not Cincinnati. So, your best shot, once again, you're going to go a wild card again and probably disappear in round one here. And that's assuming Rodgers can stay healthy all season. So, I don't know. Listen, if I'm Tomlin, I got Antonio Brown, got rid of him. Finally, now I got to deal with this media circus and Aaron Rodgers and all the craziness he is. I mean, God bless Tomlin, but it is what it is. Pittsburgh and Rodgers sort of have no choice. They have to go to each other.
Yeah. I mean, it is weird. I mean, he's the most stable head coach in the NFL. Great franchise, right? But when you look back at whether it's Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown, there's always some bird brain that Tomlin has to deal with on that team. And listen, DK Metcalf's not going to be no spring chicken either, as far as, dealing with him. If he's not getting the ball thrown his way, I don't think he's going to sit there in silence. Because we've seen him.
He's a head case too.
Yeah, exactly. And he's not even any good. At least the other guys were good. I don't think George Pickens is worth anything. I would have gotten rid of him. He's so overrated. So many drop balls. So I wonder if Rodgers, whatever it was, so let's say it's $25 million. I wonder if he now says, hey, you know what? It's me or nothing. So that $25 million, you know what? How about $35 million, boys? $35 million is the going rate. So if Sam Darnold's getting 33, I should be getting at least $35, $40 million. I wonder if his price tag went up yesterday.
He has all the leverage. Once again, I guess Pittsburgh could call his bluff and say, what? No, go retire. I guess they could call his bluff and do that, right? But Pittsburgh, it's not like Pittsburgh is with the Giants, where the Giants know they aren't going. Well, they should know they're not going anywhere, so they could afford to call Rodgers' bluff if the situation was reversed. Pittsburgh actually has a decent team, a good defense. It's a decent squad. I guess if Rodgers had a magical year, they could compete here. I don't think Pittsburgh would call his bluff. So I think if Rodgers, let's just say in your scenario was $25 million, I think if he said 35, maybe Steelers would come back at 30, 31. I think Rodgers could use his leverage to get paid more. Yeah, I do.
Yeah. It looks like Cam Ward's going to go number one at Tennessee after seeing the reports yesterday, right? They went to his workout. They loved him. Okay. Of course, they're going to have another workout with the guy. It's like, do you like him or not? I mean, how many workouts do you need, for goodness sakes? The guy played in, 13 games with the Bowls and everything. 12 and a half anyway, because he sat out the second half of the bowl game with Miami. But, he played in 12 games. He didn't throw at the combine, but you had a chance to talk to him, beat to him. You saw him throw at his workout yesterday, and they still want another private workout. And apparently, if the stories are true, that at least they're open now to still trading him. They like him that much more. But I say all this in that, if the Pittsburgh Steelers are just stuck in this mediocrityville, right, of just all these, the Kenny Pickett quarterbacks of the world, and they realize they're just not going to go anywhere in that division with Joey B and Lamar Jackson. Whatever it takes. If Tennessee is dumb enough, because I do think Ward is the difference. I like him a lot. I think he's going to be a great NFL player. With the rules they have now, with scrambling and everything, I think he's going to be great. So if Tennessee was dumb enough to say, give me 4 first-round draft choices, and you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, and you've had a pretty good run at drafting different people, not quarterbacks, but different people, Hey, you want 4? Go ahead. I got my quarterback for the next 15 years. I'm going to now be able to compete versus putting in all these scrubs and secondary players and, throwing flyers on guys in the 3rd or 4th round. If they're willing to take 4 number ones for Cam Ward, even 5, even if it's an RG3 trade, George, you know what? I would do it. Because would you trade 5 first rounders for Joey B? Would you trade 5 first rounders for Lamar Jackson or Patrick Mahomes? You wouldn't like it, but I think the answer is yes. So, and I think he's going to be that good. I really do. I would do it. If Tennessee is willing to trade him, I'm willing to, give up the price for him.
Once again, I do agree with you. If you know the guy is the guy, you give up whatever it takes. All right? The NFL is a quarterback-driven world. If you have a quarterback, you can compete. If you don't, you're not going to. You're just not. All right? So, yes. And the Steelers have been stuck in middling hell forever, right? What's the old, what we say about Mike Tomlin? Always goes above 500. Yes, above 500. Barely, but he gets there. 9 wins, 10 wins, which means you're probably not good enough to win a Super Bowl, which they generally have not been, and you're picking in the teens every damn time. We're in the low 20s. You can't get top players like that. You can't get the quarterback you need. So, yes, I agree. If the Steelers absolutely thought that Ward's the guy, I know he's the guy, you give whatever it would take to Tennessee to get that guy.
Yeah, I looked it up. There are literally only a handful, and I mean one hand, of quarterbacks in the NFL that are any good that weren't drafted in the top 10 picks. Believe it or not. It's amazing. So, all right, Football Full Circle continues here on the grid. Scott and George.
There's smart.
And there's not smart.
Not smart is hope as a strategy. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Keep it here.
And win. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. The SportsGrid Radio Network presents This Date in Sports History.
1979, at the 41st NCAA Men's Basketball Championship, Michigan State beats Indiana State 75-64. This marks the start of the rivalry between Hall of Famers Magic Johnson and Larry Bird.
Perhaps we've never seen a final game with 2 greater individual players than Larry Bird, the Player of the Year from Indiana State, and the Magic Man from East Lansing, Irvin Johnson.
For SportsGrid Radio, I'm Mike DeMurgis.
The Technology Minute with George Capalbo.
New Rohr University research finds unremarkably when you burn your hand on the stove, it really hurts. However, if your hand is hidden so you can't see it while it's getting burned, while you're staring at a lifelike rubber hand, it doesn't hurt much. Huh? Kids, don't try this at home, but this confusing rubber hand illusion has uncovered a complicated relationship between the human mind and pain. Maybe leading to effective new therapies for chronic discomfort. However, no information yet on the effects on the nervous system from wearing a rubber nose. Follow me at G. Capalbo on X, and stay tuned to The Technology Minute for more cool stuff like this.
Carver and Lisi.
By the way, great intro song, Matthias. I like that. That's going to be the new intro on Wednesdays with Carver and sometimes Lisi. Hey, look at this. I'm in the credits tonight. I made it to the big time. Look at this.
We had a discussion about this last night.
I was watching. I got a lot of things going on, Joe. Got a lot of things going on.
I don't understand what you're upset about. You're not on the show that night.
It's Carver and Lisi with Mike Carver and Joe Lisi. Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific. On the SportsGrid Radio Network. Wherever you go,
there you are.
Download the SportsGrid mobile app and we'll be right there with you.
So now you can get the winning edge
anywhere. Even while the wife's talking to you.
If you've got an earbud.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Welcome back. Full circle here on the grid. Scott Wetzel, George Kurtz on this beautiful day, talking a little NFL. It's always a beautiful day when you talk NFL. So Giants apparently get Russell Wilson. How about Stephon Diggs going to the New England Patriots, George, yesterday? He didn't get chump change either. You know, he got 3 years, almost $70 million, over $25 million guaranteed. The guy's 30-plus years old, coming off a blown-out knee. I could see why he would sign with them just because, all right, if you want to give me that much money, where do I sign? Patriots, though, boy, it's a big gamble. It really is. You're basically guaranteeing 1 year, but you're guaranteeing 1 year at a real salary. I would have thought he would have kind of been in the Cooper Kupp category. 3 years, $20 million, maybe $5, $6, $7 million a year. He got real money yesterday for the Patriots.
Well, the Patriots were somewhat desperate, right? They needed a skill position player, so I think it sort of fits both teams. I don't know, maybe Diggs wants to get back at Buffalo too, play him twice a year in that division there.
Oh.
He's only 4 months, Scott, from ACL. I mean, all the reports are that he's ahead of recovery. We hear this all the time. He's ahead of recovery, blah, blah, blah. Fine. But generally with the ACL, you're not even back to yourself, and I've had that surgery, by the way. You're not back to yourself until year 2. Right, that's when you feel much more normal here. So we'll see what Diggs can become. Once again, we saw Michael Gallup had it for the Cowboys. He was never the same. Godwin had it. Took him about half the season before he became Godwin again. So, I would proceed with caution here. I was surprised he got as much as you did. Now, he didn't get $69 million. He got $26 guaranteed. So we'll see what that becomes. Yeah, I imagine he'll get about 2/3 of that, and then we'll see what happens here as far as Diggs is concerned. But, hey, we've been complaining about the Patriots not having any skill position players. Well, now they got one. Do I think they got the right one? Yeah, I have my doubts. I do. But at least they got somebody here for Drake May to throw to.
Yeah. I mean, you had Devontae Smith on the market. Metcalf was obviously on the market. Cooper Kupp, it was free on the market. They didn't go those routes. They go with Stephon Diggs. I wonder why. I mean, it's just too much money for Houston to say we're not going to take a chance like that. It didn't work out last year, and sorry, we're not going to pay that much money.
I think that is the case, yeah. Listen, there could be things behind the scenes, too. All right, we all know Diggs is a diva, right? It's what we call wide receivers who are problems. We call them divas to make it nice, and he's certainly one of those guys here. And also, the Texans have to save up money for Stroud, right? That's going to be a massive contract. I know he had a bad year last year, but they have to realize they have to plan the future here, that unless he tanks again and ends up not being the quarterback they thought, which I don't think he will, there's a lot of money coming his way. That's probably also why Houston traded Laramie Tunsil to the Washington Commanders. Same thing, got to save money.
Yeah. It's interesting. Patriots are sitting, number 4 spot, so they get Diggs. Let's say the Giants, draft a quarterback, so they get the pick of the litter of everybody else, assuming the first 2 picks are going to be draft choices. I mean, you get the Travis Hunter kid, and you put him on one side, you put Diggs on the other with Drake May. That's not a bad little start to turning your franchise around, George.
The New England Patriots had a really good offseason, right? I mean, they're making the right moves here. They're going to have choice to make. Like I said, for giggles here, let the quarterbacks go 1-2. The Giants will take I think the Giants might trade out, but whatever. The third pick is either Abdul Carter, I would think, or Hunter. Well, then you get the other guy. All right, and if Abdul Carter goes 3, that's it. You put Hunter. Even if you don't believe Hunter's a wide receiver, well, then you put him at cornerback. And once again, you have a great top 2 cornerbacks. It's tough to throw against that team. Right? So, yeah, I think the Patriots have done very well here. Do I think they're going to compete with the Buffalo Bills next season? No, but they're on their way. Right? They may be one off season away from being a wild card team. I think this is going to be a year where things go well. They could compete for a wild card. Maybe not make it, but compete for a wild card. Not be a joke. I wouldn't bet their under win total. How about that? The next year might be the year they take that next step here. So I think New England's doing the right thing. I think they've had a good offseason. They need to keep it up here, and they're almost in a no-lose situation. And by the way, they could trade down at 4 to get more draft picks. If they don't believe in, maybe they're worried about Carter. If Hunter goes 3 and they worry about Carter's ankle, he's going to need surgery at some point. They could trade down to a team that doesn't worry about that and get more picks. Maybe they could go that direction as well. Future's bright for New England.
Yeah, I tell you, whether you're the Giants or the Patriots, you really, unless you're getting a quarterback, and I don't think either one are, then I would trade down. There's so many good players in the draft if you know what you're doing. Is there one guy worth 2 other first-round players if you could hit home runs with those other first-round players? I don't think so. You want to take Carter, knock yourself out. But he, to me, like defensive linemen to me are the last piece or one of the last pieces. Playoff team, needs to get over the hump. Not a team like the Giants and the Patriots. I would just as soon trade out of those spots, go get 2 first-rounders if you can, and really kind of help your franchise a little bit. So we'll talk more NFL right here on Football Full Circle. Scott and George. Second half hour coming up next.
The winning edge.
You've got it.
But not everybody has it, because not everybody listens to us.
But we're working on that.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Progressive presents the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
Major League Baseball tomorrow, 3 o'clock Eastern. The Yankees host the Brewers. Carlos Rodon starts for New York against Freddie Peralta. The Orioles visit the Blue Jays. The Nationals at home against the Phillies. Zach Wheeler faces Mackenzie Gore. The Red Sox open up at Texas. Paul Skeens gets the ball for the Pirates at Miami against Sandy Alcantara. The Giants open up with Logan Webb facing Hunter Green at Cincinnati. The White Sox are home against the Angels. The Guardians visit the Royals. Tanner Bibby faces Cole Reagans. The Mets send Clay Holmes to the mound against the Astros and Framber Valdez in Houston. Chris Sale starts for the Braves at San Diego. Michael King starts for the Padres. The Cardinals open up at home against the Twins. Sonny Gray faces Pablo Lopez. Blake Snell starts for the Dodgers at home against the Tigers and Tariq Skubal. Justin Steele starts for the Cubs at Arizona, where Zach Gallen gets the ball. The A's open up at Seattle. Logan Gilbert starts for the Mariners. Luis Severino gets the nod for the A's. Bundle auto and home, renters, or condo, and save with Progressive.
That's the SportsGrid Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders.
Coverage varies by plan. View contracts and exclusions at EnduranceWarranty.com. Auto repair bills are through the roof. $3,000 to replace the transmission. $4,000 for a blown engine. And if your manufacturer's warranty is expired, you'll have to cover it all out of pocket. You need an Endurance Auto Protection Plan. No matter what the mileage, if your car is under 20 years old, Endurance can get you covered on the engine, electrical system, transmission, AC, drivetrain, and more. Endurance has plans for any budget. Repairs can be done at the certified mechanic of your choice, and they're paid directly with no middleman. Plans cover 24/7 roadside assistance, towing, battery jumps, fuel deliveries, tire changes, lockout services, and a 30-day money-back guarantee. Act now and get our elite benefits, including complete tire care and key fob replacement. A $2,000 value at no extra cost. With Endurance, you could never pay for covered auto repairs again, so call now for your free quote. Call 800-380-9012. 800-380-9012. Again, that's 800-380-9012.
You're listening to Sports Grid.
Spreading the winning edge far and wide.
Terrestrial, internet, TV, satellite, and don't forget our mobile app.
Face it.
The winning edge is everywhere.
Somewhere there's a squirrel frustrated he can't get a phone.
This is the Sports Grid Radio Network.
Back in full circle. We talked a little NFL. Scott Wetzel, George Kurtz in for Ben and Joe today. They have a new proposal, George. They're making this kickoff thing just way, way too complicated. They really are. So here's the latest. I don't know if you saw this or not. So nothing crazy. But long story short, instead of now the touchback and the ball being placed at the 30-yard line, they're now going to put it, or the proposal is that they're going to put it at the 35-yard line. What's the difference? Well, ultimately, I think it's because they want scoring. And I think they saw scoring go way down last year. And interest, we need to have fantasy points. We need to have touchdowns. We need to have dances, blah, 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 blah. So I think this is their way, really, of getting the ball a little bit further up the field to have more touchdowns. But they say it's because they want more kickoff returns, which is weird because they implemented all these goofy rules because they were worried about safety. Now they're disappointed that there weren't that many kickoff returns. So now they're trying to make it like for the kickoff team, the thinking is don't kick the ball into the end zone because you're going to give the ball now to the 35-yard line. That's in a pretty good field position. So now you got to kick it in between the goal line and the 20, which forces them to return it. I don't know if all that's true or not, but here's the bottom line. I looked this up. Well, I didn't look it up, but I figured it out. I saw the story on NFL.com. There were 8 concussions last year on kickoffs, which was the same as the year before, but with a few more kickoffs actually being returned. So the rate is a little bit lower, but in essence, there's 8. And I said to myself, you know what? I knew it. I said, I watch a lot of football, and I don't ever remember seeing like guys being helped off the field because they had a concussion all those years past. Maybe I missed it because they went to commercials or whatever, but I just never remembered. So there was only 8 last year, George. If you consider there's 32 teams and they're all playing 17 games, you divide that number in half, since obviously the same team is playing, another team. There are about 2,700 to 3,000 kickoffs. If you consider 8 to 9 kickoffs a game, almost 3,000 kickoffs, and we only had 8 concussions. Why are we doing this song and dance with the NFL? Just let them kick off from the 30-yard line, 25-yard line, if you want to move it back a little bit further, and let them play. Otherwise, it's just like it's too much. I mean, figure out a way. There's not that many concussions on kickoffs. They make it seem like there's a concussion every other kickoff. 8 in nearly 3,000 kickoffs. How crazy is that?
Well, first off, once again, which I can't believe this, I actually agree with once again everything you said here. Of course, it's about more scoring, right? Yeah, maybe I gotta get my blood test out after all. Yeah. Of course, it's about more. Everything in the NFL is about more scoring. Okay, do I think they want more kickoffs? Sure, they want more scoring. Kickoffs, some don't be returned for scores here. Do I think the new kickoff the start of this year was ridiculous? Absolutely. It looks terrible. It's dumb. You mentioned there's not that many concussions, but I also think it comes down to the NFL and it has to look like they're trying to stop this, right? They get all these lawsuits, so they need to be able to say, well, no, we tried this on kickoffs, or we're doing this, we're not allowing people to hit in the head now, the defenseless receiver. They need to be able to point this out in court. I think that's what all this is for here. I think the NFL knows, listen, it's football. It's a contact sport. You're not going to be able to legislate out concussions or injuries. You cannot do it. All right. So, but they need to be able to say, hey, no, we're trying. We're trying, Your Honor. No, we really are. We care. They don't care. All right. They don't. All right. But they need to act like they do here. So, yeah, listen, I agree with you. I think it's silly. I don't think it makes a lot of sense here. You know what? Just give them 1st and 10 at the 20-yard line. The other team's 20.
Yeah.
Give them 1st and goal at the 10. You want scoring? Let's go. Let's have a 99-92 game, which is what the NFL wants here. It's just, it's silly here. Most of the rules are silly. It's not like, once again, I don't want to sound like the old man, get off my lawn here and all that, but, football has changed dramatically over the last 20 years. All right. Hey, and maybe it's going back there. Maybe it's full revolution here with the running back, the running game becoming more and more important here. But every rule, I just start to shake my head with the NFL. I'm like, really? This is what we're doing now? Just make it 1st and 10 at the 50. All right, give them the 50 if they kick a touchback. But there you go. And now they'll just bump the kick then. And we'll start from there. It's silly, but it is what it is.
Yeah. It's one less opportunity for them to go to a commercial. So they'll never do that just because, well, after they score a touchdown, we'll go to a commercial. And if we're running a little bit behind, we'll have the kickoff, then we can go to another commercial. If they just hand the ball off at the 20-yard line, 50-yard line, whatever, it's like there's one less opportunity. So, but I agree. It's just like, come on, stop. You're making it sound like this is brain surgery here. Just kick the damn ball off. Watch your head when you're running down the field. What can I tell you? You don't lead with your helmet. If you don't lead with your helmet, you should be okay. So, then the other one is the push-tush, which was brought up really last week. I know we haven't had a chance to talk about it. I'm okay with eliminating it, George, right? I don't think it's going to solve the issue. Like as I told Ben and Joe when we've done the shows together, what I don't like is the offensive lineman, after the running back or wide receiver has the ball at 10 yards down the field, and then these big fat offensive linemen come running in and they're pushing the guy even further down the field. The guy couldn't fall to the ground if he tried, literally, because of the impetus that they're getting. That's what I don't like. You want to do the push-tush, knock yourself out, find a way to stop it. But if they did eliminate that, all they would do is just put a running back on each side of the quarterback and have the running back block the guards and go behind the guards and push the guards, and that would create a lane for the quarterback to slide left or slide right. So it wouldn't solve the problem. It really wouldn't. But they might do that.
I don't think I don't think there's enough complaints about it. I mean, it's a football play. Stop it. All right, it's just a football play. So why? Listen, if it's such a play that can't be stopped, why are the Eagles the only team that are good at it? A lot of it's because Jalen Hurts, for whatever his shortcomings are, he's very strong, right? He's built. I mean, Josh Allen, who theoretically is just as strong, is terrible at tush push. Terrible at it. He can't get it. I mean, I just it's a play. They're very good at it, such as life here. But as you're sort of hinting here, if you're going to make it illegal, you're probably going to have to make it illegal for any player to push another player at any point during the field. You can't push the quarterback. You can't push the guard, which is you're talking about. And you can't have these linemen running down the field to push, once again, with their running back or their wide receiver after they catch the ball. Can't push anyone. You can push the other team. You can push the defenders, but you can't push your own players. That's probably what you're looking at here if they're going to make this illegal. But I don't think they will. I know Green Bay put it up there, which is kind of funny because I think they are one of the better teams at doing it, actually. That Love's actually decent at it. So I kind of find it funny, but I think Green Bay also knows we're probably going to be facing Philadelphia. They're better at it than we are. Let's see if we can stop it. I think a lot of this, why this came to a head, Scott. Remember that game versus Washington, the playoff game, where it was still they had first to go at the one for like 20 minutes because Washington was trying to jump over the line, whoever that safety was. Which, by the way, decent try. Why not? And we're gonna award a touchdown automatically now. And I think that's what a lot of this is about, too. They can't have that anymore.
Yeah, they found the little loophole, and I tell you, it's a smart loophole. It really is. In that, if you jump off sides, you're giving the offense what, an inch, 6 inches,
right.
literally. If they jump off sides, then you're getting 5 yards on them. So if they flinch a little, that's one of the rules they got to figure out how to change. Make it where if the defense jumps off sides, then the offense, you can't say can jump off sides without being penalized, but that's really it. Like, for every time the defense jumps off sides, if the offense then jumps off side, they don't go back 5 yards. They only go back to the original line of scrimmage, the 6 inches that they just gained. Something along those lines. Or maybe add it on to the kickoff. They say, all right,
that would be where they have to go.
The 10-yard line, you score a touchdown or a field goal, put it on a kickoff.
That's probably what you'd have to do to put it on the extra point or put it on the field goal, whatever it is. Give them 5 yards for that. That's probably where you have to go with that. But I don't think they'll do that either. But like I said, that I don't mind with tush push. It's a play here, but watching that over and over again, it's like, oh my God, they're going to get a touchdown either way. Can we just get this over with here? And that play ran like 4 or 5 times before the ref got involved there. So that the NFL is not going to like. And I do admit I didn't like that either. So listen, it's a touchdown. Can we move on here? Next, please.
Yeah. Well, maybe do that. You jump off sides, or you get two penalties that would have put it into the end zone, then it's an automatic touchdown. Something along those lines. But that's where they should kind of change it, not the actual push itself. So, war words between Micah Parsons, Dexter Lawrence continuing. We'll talk about that when we come back. Football Full Circle.
We're not saying every SportsGrid listener is a legend, but you might start thinking about who's going to play you in the movie.
Just saying.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
With the SportsGrid News Flash, I'm Trey Westerberg. The head of the U.S. Postal Service, Louis DeJoy, resigned Monday after nearly 5 years in the position. DeJoy had said last month he had planned to step down but had not set a date. A New York student is suing after high school officials painted over a parking spot that she had decorated with a watermelon slice, a symbol of support for Palestinians. The lawsuit was filed this month in Brooklyn federal court and argues that the Half Hollow Hills Central School District violated the students' free speech rights. The school district says the artwork was painted over in order to maintain neutrality on controversial political matters. A drag show scheduled for this week at Texas A&M University can go on as scheduled despite a Board of Regents ban on such performances, according to a federal judge. The ruling from Houston-based U.S. District Judge Lee Rosenthal blocked a university ban on drag performances on free speech grounds. I'm Trey Westerberg with the SportsGrid News Flash.
With Fidelity Wealth Management, a dedicated advisor gets to know you and your goals to build a comprehensive plan to help grow and protect your wealth. Backed by a team of specialists, they'll analyze all your accounts, even the ones they don't manage, to keep an eye on taxes and provide proactive portfolio insights that can help you unlock your wealth's full potential. Learn more at fidelity.com/wealth. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC. Member NYSE SIPC.
Progressive knows owning a home can be hard, but not always. Like when you're relaxing on your patio, enjoying a nice, quiet evening. So quiet. Except for the sound of the neighbor's party. Which you said you'd go to if you weren't busy. And your quiet night on the patio, that's not exactly busy, is it? Maybe you should just stay inside. At least Progressive's Home Quote Explorer lets you easily compare rates, so shopping for insurance is the easiest part of owning a home. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and third-party insurers. Comparison rates not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
Ask any player and they'll tell you any advantage is important.
That's where we come in.
SportsGrid delivers gaming strategies and analysis 7 days a week.
The winning edge.
It's your advantage to more winning
more often.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
All right, welcome back. It is Football Full Circle here on the grid. Scott and George talking a little NFL. Yeah, so the war of words, the social media war, Dexter Lawrence of now the Seattle Seahawks, and then Micah Parsons of your Dallas Cowboys, George, back and forth. I think it started innocently enough with Dexter just saying, he left Dallas because he knew he was never going to win a Super Bowl there, which is probably true. But he goes to Seattle. It's not like he's going to the Kansas City Chiefs. So that that got Micah Parsons to chime in, and then as they continued to go back and forth, social media got a little bit more personal. So what do you make of this whole thing? Good, bad, indifferent, no big deal, or is there some truth behind the scenes that we should be knowing about Dallas?
Well, I don't know. I think there's a lot of truth there, and it's not behind the scenes. We all know it. All right. I mean, Dallas, Jerry Jones lets the inmates run the asylum. All right. He has for years, right? If a player has a problem, you don't go to the coach, you go to Jerry. All right. You just go, you go over the coach, and Jerry will decide what's going to happen here. So it's just been like that for years with the Cowboys here. I mean, what DeMarcus Lawrence said, I mean, we all watched the interview. He was just being more tongue in cheek than anything else, but he wasn't wrong. He didn't lie. He goes, I'm never going to win a Super Bowl in Dallas. No, you're not. Not on Jerry Jones. You're not going to. Winning's not the most important thing for Jerry. Then I have no problem with Micah. I wouldn't have called him a clown if I was Micah. Right? You don't insult the guy, but I have no problem with Micah then sticking up for the Cowboys. I mean, once again, it's your team. You stick up for it. Fine. And what makes me say maybe those two didn't like each other. DeMarcus had a great comeback there. Maybe if you tweet a little less and on the field a little bit more, or win a little bit more, whatever he said. I mean, that's a mic drop. That's an absolute mic drop there. But it's so stupid. Let it go, boys. You're on different teams now. Doesn't matter. All right, you're both great players. Micah, maybe Micah's a little frustrated. He hasn't gotten the big contract yet. We know that's coming. At least I think it's coming. And we know Jerry Jones will probably wait till the evening before opening day. For the Cowboys, that's when he'll announce, because that's what he does. This way, Mike will get every last dime, because God forbid Jerry should ever sign anybody early. So it is what it is, but it's just more drama with the Cowboys. And I always think, Jerry Jones may not be the jerk that George Steinbrenner was. Where George wanted the back pages all the time, but Jerry loves this. Keeps the Cowboys in the headlines, right? Keeps the Cowboys in the headlines. Yeah, let them fight. All good for us. I don't think Jerry minds just one little bit here, because this is what he wants. Listen, having the Cowboys in the headlines is much more important to him than winning. It just is. He wants to be able to talk. Jerry, what do you think is going on in between those two? He loves to be able to talk. So it's frustrating, but it's just business as usual for the Dallas Cowboys.
I think he realizes he can't win anymore. So the only way to stay in the headlines is to have, goofy things like this occur. So, you pointed out last night on In-Game Live with Stephon Diggs going up to New England. I would have thought maybe Dallas would have made a run since his brother is there, but is another example of Jerry just not willing to open up his pocketbook. I mean, because like we said, he got a decent amount of money. It's not chump change on, 3-year, $10 million contract. But still, if you want to win in the NFL, you got to take some chances. And here's another opportunity, George, for Dallas to take a chance, and they pass.
As we talked about earlier, I was surprised Diggs got as much as he did. I thought he might have to sign a 1-year make good deal. I thought that might put him in line for the Cowboys with just play with his brother, right? And that would be a great incentive for both players there. So I thought that's what it was. But as soon as I saw the contract, because remember, the Cowboys were out. The Cowboys wanted the Cooper Kupp too, but they were out as soon as they saw the price tag on him. As you pointed out already, Diggs got more. So that put them out on him. The Cowboys, but everybody thinks Jerry Jones, super rich Cowboys, worth, I don't know, $10, $12, $20 billion. But Jerry Jones is one of the owners who spends the least amount of cash. Doesn't spend a lot of money. The Cowboys have not spent more than $10 million on a free agent per year since 2015. Think about that for a second. They don't spend money. Yeah, they'll sign their own players, Dak, CeeDee Lamb. I assume Micah gets paid, but they do not sign outside free agents. They just don't do it. They take free agency off. Yeah, they made a lot of moves this year. I think they've signed 10 free agents, including a couple of their own, but they're all minor depth guys. I think of the 10 guys they have signed, 1, maybe 2 are what you would consider full-timers. And one of those guys is Dante Fowler, who's a pass rush specialist, not really a full-timer. They just don't hit free agency. Jerry does not like to spend money.
I wonder why. I mean, the franchise has got to be worth literally $10 billion, right? I mean, he's got all the money in the world at his disposal. So, and we're talking billions, not millions, as far as how valuable that franchise is right now, right? And he bought it for peanuts compared to what it's worth. That's all profit. I mean, why is he being such a miser? I mean, how many more years does he have on this earth? Let's say good years, right? We'll keep it nice. 10 good years? He's in his low 70s, mid 70s. What is he, 76, 77, 75, something like that, I imagine? Even higher than that? Is he in his 80s? So,
Yes.
I mean, yeah, he's got to, now you think about it, he's got to be in his 80s, right? So, I mean, what are you saving it for? You go spend, if this is what gives you enjoyment in life, and it must, since he's around the team all the time, wouldn't you do everything in your power to spend some money to try and make it be a good franchise? I don't get it, man.
Well, you're assuming that his good years are still around. Maybe they're not. Maybe he's already on with decline because he actually thinks that, hey, I am doing the right thing here. I am smarter than everybody else, which I think he thinks he is. By the way, looking at the 58, 25, he's 84. So he's 84 years old here. So, some of the comments he makes, what Jerry Jones wants to do more than anything is talk. He loves talking after the game, right? That little media scrum, win, lose, draw. Wants to talk here, and he wants to do it his way. All right, but probably it's not working. It hasn't worked for a long time, Jerry. I think some would say it never worked. All right, you had Jimmy Johnson. He's the one who turned your team around here. Yeah, you won with Barry Switzer, but that was with Jimmy's players, right? His players, his team there. Then you have
they
one.
were so good. Yeah.
Right. I mean, so it's listen, as a Cowboy fan, it's disheartening. And I'm Scott. I'm a Cowboy fan, and I'll always be a Cowboy fan. That's not going to change. But I'm a realist now. All right, I'll root for the team. I want them to win. I'll probably be upset if they lose on Sundays, but I know they're not going anywhere. They're not going to win under Jerry Jones. He needs to move on, and then maybe the Cowboys can get better again. But then again, I don't know how much better Steven's going to be either. So it makes me a revolving door of dealing with the Joneses for the rest of my life.
It's amazing. I will say this: 84 years old. I hope I have that much energy, whether it's in the right direction or not. Who knows? But I hope I have that kind of energy at 84 to still want to deal with all the nonsense that he has to deal with as the owner. So, all right, football full circle here on the grid. We'll close up shop with some final thoughts. Scott and George.
Luck is winning the lottery. Strategy is settling your divorce before cashing in the ticket.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Get the winning edge. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. SportsGrid TV and radio networks are the premier streaming video and audio channels dedicated to serving the sports wagering audience. Found on major smart TV platforms and streaming on SportsGrid Radio and SiriusXM Channel 159. SportsGrid's real-time data, expert commentary, and entertaining analysis transform viewers into informed sports enthusiasts. Our weekday radio lineup begins with the early line at 8 a.m. Eastern with Ben Stevens and Donnie Rightside. Donnie joins Kevin Walsh on Moneyline at 11 a.m. Eastern, followed by Football Full Circle at noon Eastern. Kaplan and crew join the party at 1 p.m. Eastern, and Pharrell Coast to Coast keeps things rolling from 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern. Get in the mix with Kevin Walsh and Game Time Decisions at 6 p.m. Eastern. Evenings simmer with Carver and Lisi, then boils over with Gabe Moritzi on Sports Rage Late Night at 10 p.m. Eastern. To find out where to find SportsGrid that's best for you, go to sportsgrid.com. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Imagine combining the exciting investment opportunity of cryptocurrencies with the power of artificial intelligence to maximize your IRA, 401k, or other investment funds. Listen, if you're looking for ways to accelerate your retirement growth, Block Trust IRA has market-leading strategies and solutions for all levels of investors, from $1,000 to millions. And they partner with Bitcoin Magazine's #1 crypto trading fund in the world to maximize your returns. Plus, their team of IRA specialists is here to help you roll over your IRA or qualified retirement account to the new world of cryptocurrency investments. So make this free call right now to set up your account and learn more.
800-434-5313. 800-434-5313. 800-434-5313. That's 800-434-5313.
Think of us as your cool roommate that has this innate gift of somehow always picking winners and never bugs you about doing the dishes or paying rent. Sports gaming strategies and information 24/7.
Get the winning edge.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
All right, welcome back. It is Football Full Circle here on the grid. Scott Wetzel, George Kurtz in for Ben and Joe today, breaking down the NFL. It's kind of a who's who of who's left. We were talking about Russell Wilson, obviously earlier, Stephon Diggs signing with the Patriots, and then Wilson, obviously, with the New York Giants. And, if this was 5, 6, 7 years ago, boy, you could set yourself up pretty nicely, George. But unfortunately, this is 2025, and these guys are, for the most part, probably past their prime. But let's throw some names out there and see if we can find some homes. Any interest at all? I'm not a little surprised, but Carson Wentz still out there. I thought maybe, just maybe, one of these teams, like the Giants, that would say, all right, you know what? You're probably not a starter, but if you want to come in and compete for the starting job, we'll at least give you that opportunity. But that's not the case. He was let go by Kansas City because they thought, he might be able to latch on with a team. That hasn't been the case. But any interest in Carson Wentz for your club?
Well, yes, because the Cowboys don't have a backup right now, right? It's Will Greer. The problem is Jerry's already pretty much let it be known they're not signing a top backup, right? They let Cooper Rush go. If they wanted Carson Wentz, they would just keep Cooper Rush. They're going to make about the same amount of money, give or take. There, they let Trey Lance go as also. They're not going that direction. It does make me wonder for the Cowboys, by the way. Could they draft a quarterback later? All right, listen, they're not none of the names we mentioned. I'm talking 4th round, somewhere in there. Could they draft a quarterback? Because they're going to need a third. Like I said, right now, the only quarterbacks on the Cowboys roster are Dak and Greer. But no, I don't expect a Carson Wentz or anybody of name that's out there right now to be a backup quarterback for the Cowboys.
Wow. I tell you what, if he gets hurt again, they are really screwed. I mean, at least, Cooper Rush showed to be serviceable. Will Greer and a rookie quarterback, maybe. Yikes. How about Amari Cooper? He did basically nothing with the Buffalo Bills when they got him from Cleveland last year. He's still out there.
He's still out. So is Keenan Allen, right? They're both still out there.
One, yeah.
I'm probably more surprised that Allen is not with somebody. Cooper, by the way, I wonder if he just got old quick. That kind of guy. Then I think Cooper also has the reputation of, when he gets hurt, he's not very good at all. He just doesn't play through injuries very well at all. I think that's a reputation there. Listen, he's not going back to the Cowboys. For those who are wondering, Cooper and Jerry Jones did not part on good terms here. Jerry Jones was still mad that Cooper didn't get the COVID shot, right? Didn't get the vaccination, then got COVID. That ticked off Jerry. So he ain't going back to the Cowboys. But Keenan Allen, once again, another guy who gets hurt a lot, plays for him, but he gets hurt a lot. So I think that's hurting his value as well. But they'll both end up on teams. I would think Allen would get more money than Cooper.
How about Nick Chubb? I didn't realize he was a free agent. I thought he had another year or so with the Cleveland Browns. Obviously, he didn't look good at all after he came back from his blown out knee. But, sometimes, as you said earlier, it takes a year. But he's a running back, and we all know the shelf life of a running back not good. But still, Nick Chubb is out there.
Yeah, you already said it, right? He did not look good. This is his second or third big injury on that leg here. A little surprised he didn't get a job yet. Once again, he'll be in camp with somebody. It won't be with the Cowboys, by the way. They've already signed a couple of, whatever. Who is it? They got Javonte Williams. They got Miles Sanders. Yay. And the Cowboys are almost certainly going to draft a running back. I don't think Genty falls to them at 12. So we'll see what they do in the second round there. But Chubb, once again, I just don't think he's that guy anymore. Right? He's your second running back there. Shane was once great, but those injuries have taken its toll on Mr. Chubb.
Yeah. He's a classic example of a running back. The shelf life is just so short. You get one injury, you lose just a quarter of a step. You could survive that as a wide receiver if you know what you're doing. You certainly can survive that, as an offensive lineman, maybe even a defensive lineman. But as a running back, you lose a half a step, man, that's like night and day. It really is. So J.K. Dobbins, another running back. Another running back dealing with injuries, right? Only 26.
Yeah,
he's been in the NFL forever.
Yeah, 26. I'm actually surprised. I would have thought he was older than that. Yeah. He's actually good when healthy, but he's a guy, he's not playing 17, probably not playing 12. All right, so once again, a good backup to have, but he's not going to stay healthy. And how much money do these guys want also makes you wonder. That's why they're still on the waiver wire, because they want too much money. They'll end up taking the veteran minimum as training camp approaches.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, and as the longer you're in the league, the veteran minimum gets, up, and up. So, you want to have to pay a guy $1 million when you could draft a guy and pay him $250,000 or $350,000. Like the gap between league minimum for a veteran player, 6, 7, 8 year veteran versus a rookie is quite a bit. So, and Stephon Gilmore, last one, real quickly, is still out there.
Cornerback will absolutely. He's had a couple of good years, by the way. He's not the cornerback he used to be, but he has had a couple of good years. He may go to a team that doesn't get a cornerback in the draft.
Yeah. George, great job as always. Always love working with you. I'm sure we'll do it again soon. Enjoy the rest of your day, folks. Football full circle. You're on the grid.
You found the advantage for gaming, odds, and more. But we call it the winning edge for short. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.